Commissioner, can you turn on your video?
Yes.
All right, we're live.
Okay. I'd like to call this meeting to order in compliance with the Governor's Executive Order 2020-7, 2020-10, and 2020-18. Attendance at this meeting will be by remote means as well as some in-person means. It's my understanding. Roll call. Commissioner Cabanargi?
Here.
Commissioner Wendt?
Present. Here.
Is there a motion for approval of the minutes from December 7th of 2020?
Moved.
Is there a second? Commissioner Wendt, do you second the motion?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Commissioner
Aye.
Wendt?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Any old business? Hearing no old business, we'll move on to new business. Motion 1, the closing of the 2020 session. Is there a motion?
I move that whereas the Cook County Board of Review has finished its adjudication of all valuation appeals timely submitted to it in the course of its review of the 2020 tax year assessment rolls, has transmitted its results to the Office of the Cook County Assessor, which was certified on June 14, 2021, and having completed all other matters as required by the Illinois Property Tax Code, it's therefore moved that the Board of Review close the session for the review of valuation appeals for the 2020 tax year.
Is the motion seconded?
No. And actually, can you hear me?
I can. If you're not seconding the motion, I'm seconding the motion. Now we move to discussion. Is there discussion?
Okay. I would like to discuss, please. I believe that several hundred Cook County homeowners had their appeals overturned because of the ill-devised consultant detection program at the Board of Review. I believe that the rights of the Cook County taxpayers have been violated, and I'm not in agreement to close the session until the appropriate reductions in assessed values are granted.
Have you identified? I'm sorry.
I'm still going. I never signed off on certifying the values determined by our office, so I cannot agree to close the session. We, the Board of Review, acting as the appellate court for homeowners, determined that the assessed values were in fact unfair, but still stripped the evidence from the files and issued no changes. In other words, we did not reduce their assessed values when they were warranted. I've tried many times to have this program terminated immediately, but my efforts have fallen on deaf ears. I will continue to fight for the homeowners of Cook County and do my part to ensure fairness. My vote is no.
Commissioner Cabanargi?
Thank you, Chairman Rogers. This is disappointing. The staff of the Board of Review have worked diligently throughout an enormous pandemic with stress to them and their families. And at the outset, I'd like to say I couldn't be more proud of the hard work of our staff. Last year, about 15 months ago, 142 employees were sent home with their laptops under their arms. They worked relentlessly 7 days a week at the end to make sure that the bills went out on time. They worked hard and they worked smart. 93% of our appeals this session were filed online, and 100% of the appeals were held remotely, either by phone or by computer. The staff are to be commended for the job they've done. It's disappointing that my colleague Commissioner Wendt isn't certifying their hard work and is in effect interrupting schools and local governments receiving their needed tax revenues. It's disappointing that her voice has been heard, and this is a process where there's 3 commissioners. We have to move forward. If she doesn't want to be part of the moving forward, then unfortunately the majority will move forward. Regarding the abuse by consultants, Commissioner Wendt is new to the board and might not have seen the damaging effect that consultants can have for homeowners. I've seen it in my district. My district is a largely immigrant community, first generation Latino, first generation Polish American. And I've seen these consultants coming into these neighborhoods and charging homeowners for a service that they've already paid for as taxpayers, charging homeowners hundreds of dollars to come to the board review to file an appeal that they're entitled to file for free. So a number of years ago, we set up a program with our digital appeals processing system, our DAP system, that allows us to flag abusive consultants. So we found these folks who go into a community and say, I'll file your appeal for you, and we refer them to the Illinois Supreme Court and the Illinois Attorney Registration and Disciplinary Commission, because the Supreme Court and the case law is clear. In order to file at the Board of Review, you either have to be the homeowner or you have to be an attorney. So these consultants devastate communities by going in and playing a role and charging a fee that they're not entitled to. What we try and do is when we flag these consultants through the DAP system is contact the homeowner directly and make sure that they have an opportunity to file their appeal. No system is perfect. We're always looking for ways to improve it, but I'm not about to injure homeowners and go back to the old days when these homeowners in Latino and immigrant communities are hurt by these abusive consultants. I'm voting for closing the Board of Review session. We've done a lot of hard work, and the effect on the tax system if we don't close and move forward today would be devastating. I
echo your comments, Commissioner Cabanargi. I've been at the board now for over a decade and a half. I too have seen the abuses by consultants, and we have a hard and fast rule that precludes them from taking advantage of taxpayers by filing unnecessary fees. We've ramped up significant outreach programs to reach out to, in particular, Latino, immigrant, and African-American communities on the south and west sides of Cook County that I represent. We have seen taxpayers appreciate that we come to their communities and explain to them that no consultant is required to file an appeal, that you gain no benefit from the use of a consultant or a lawyer, and that this is a process that they can do on their own with the assistance of employed Cook County assessment analysts that we bring to their communities. Before COVID, it was in person. Since COVID, it has been by Zoom and other remote means. But in both instances, it has been very effective, and taxpayers appreciate it. It prevents them from being taken advantage of and paying unnecessary fees to consultants that are doing nothing more oftentimes than filing a form for them that they could do on their own and that we assist them with. I would also echo that I also am disappointed by Commissioner Wentz. She has only been in office for a few months, which is not a criticism of her in any respect, but she has expressly told us that she has no interest in communicating with us and really understanding the job of being a commissioner, understanding the job of working on behalf of taxpayers, but has been obstinate in any and every way she can, which is unfortunate, but it can happen, and we will not allow it to interfere with the success of the agency and the ability to get the tax bills out as timely as possible. If two of us were to agree with her, the tax bills would be delayed, taxing districts would not receive, would be threatened. I'm sorry, the timely issuance, the timely receipt of their funding would be threatened, all because of a non-specific complaint that she has described without any solution, any plan, simply a criticism. So I too vote yes in favor of the motion to close the session so we can do the job that we were elected to do as commissioners. Hearing two votes, I'm sorry, hearing a motion and a second, is there a vote? Let's take a vote.
Yeah, Chairman Rogers, I think Commissioner Went is on mute. I don't know if Commissioner Went, there's something you'd like to say.
Yeah, can I respond quickly, please?
Yes.
You know, I think that you're kind of spinning the issue here. It's not about, I know what consultants are all about, and I know that consultants are not allowed to file at the Board of Review. This isn't about consultants. This is about a faulty program that has been implemented here at the Board of Review that has not been investigated once you flag people for consultants. My staff found that there's hundreds, literally, this is just what we found, hundreds of homeowners who are not consultants, who are being denied their appeals when they should have been granted, including some elected officials. I've brought this to your attention, Commissioner Rogers, you're saying that I've offered no solutions. I've brought this to your attention, to Roland, to William. And I'm ignored and shot down at every turn. And you both just continue to outvote me and tell me that your program is wonderful. Well, it's not. And then I say you're supposed to investigate these when they're flagged and to determine whether or not they are consultants. And I'm told we don't have the resources to do that. Well, then we shouldn't have this faulty program in place, because we notify these people who are not consultants that their appeals that should have been granted are denied because they're told in their letter because the evidence isn't there. They're not told the truth. I've tried to change this as well. They're not told because they're suspected consultants. I've brought this to everyone's attention, and I think the public should know this. So if you're going to, say that I'm not being cooperative with you, which we'll get into later, I just want the public and everybody out there to know that I have been cooperative, and I'm trying to fix this program that is faulty in denying constitutional rights to appeals. Our office determined these files should have been reduced, these assessed values, and then we subsequently flag them as consultants. Now, my staff did do the investigation and actually called these people and found that they were not consultants. So that's the issue. And I'm not delaying the tax bills going out, because we've already done the work and we've submitted it to your staff, both your staffs, and this would not have delayed it. We just were denied, ignored, and that's nothing new with you guys.
Respectfully, you have expressly indicated you have no interest in talking to Commissioner Cabanargi and I. We have asked our staffs to discuss this issue with you. There's been no cooperation whatsoever. You've done nothing but raise an issue without a solution, and you are ignoring the damage that consultants do to everyday homeowners and taxpayers.
Larry, there's emails that can prove that I did offer a solution. So don't misstate facts, please.
Again, I stand by what I've stated. You have offered no solution. You have done nothing to communicate with your colleagues. In fact, you've told us you don't want to communicate with us other than by email. And, that's your prerogative. And with respect to delaying the issuance of tax bills, again, if someone were to vote in favor or with you on no, that would absolutely delay the issuance of tax bills and the funding for taxing districts across Cook County. Again, with no concrete solution and plan, just a criticism. So again, knowing the obligation that I have as a commissioner, knowing the desperate need that these taxing districts have for funding, I am doing the responsible thing to protect taxpayers by thwarting any efforts of consultants to take advantage of them, and by voting in favor of closing this session. Commissioner Cabanargi, you had some comments?
I'd just like to call the question.
Call the question. All in favor of the motion, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Commissioner Went?
No.
The motion carries. Commissioner Went, would you like to make the second motion?
No.
Commissioner Cabanargi?
Yes, I'd like to amend the Cook County Board of Review's ethics policy to match the Cook County's ethics ordinance so that the definition of family shall be defined as follows. Under the definition of familiar relationship shall mean a person who is related to an official, employee, board, or commissioner appointee as spouse, or as any of the following, whether by blood, marriage, or adoption, as parent, father, mother, son, daughter, brother, sister, uncle, aunt, great uncle, first cousin, nephew, niece, husband, wife, grandfather, grandmother, grandson, granddaughter, father-in-law, mother-in-law, son-in-law, daughter-in-law, brother-in-law, sister-in-law, stepfather, stepmother, stepson, stepdaughter, stepbrother, stepsister, half-brother, half-sister, and including the father, mother, grandfather, or grandmother of the official's employees, board or commission appointees, spouse, domestic partner, civil union partner, parent, child, brother, sister, aunt, uncle, niece, nephew, grandparent, grandchild, father-in-law, mother-in-law, son-in-law, daughter-in-law, brother-in-law, sister-in-law, stepfather, stepmother, stepson, stepdaughter, stepbrother, stepsister, half-brother, or half-sister. Do I have a second for my motion?
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner Rogers, Commissioner Rogers, our ethics officer, Jonathan Chapman, is on here as well. Jonathan's one of our talented attorneys at the Board of Review with many years of practice. Jonathan asked for this amendment to be forwarded and brought it to our attention. So I would defer to Mr. Chapman. Mr. Chapman?
Yes, sir. And I just want to make a point of clarification. So that definition would be the definition for relative under our policy, which would then match familial relationship under the Cook County ordinance.
Thank you.
Any discussion?
I have discussion, please.
Commissioner,
Yes, thank you. Am I on? Okay. As a public body, it's important that we have qualified, unbiased legal counsel involved in every decision we make concerning rules, labor, human resources, or ethics policies. The Board of Review does not have legal counsel that specializes in any of these areas. It came as a recommendation from the Cook County State's Attorney that the board retain specialized legal counsel. So since the Board of Review is a 3-commissioner board, any meeting involving 2 commissioners to discuss any Board of Review issues is a violation of the Open Meetings Act. I move that the commissioners meet monthly in a public forum to do the people's business. In the 6 months, almost 7 that I have been here, I have learned that this office does not operate with transparency. I think the taxpayers would be very surprised to know what goes on. In the spirit of transparency, the culture of Open Meetings Act violations has to stop now. And I understand this is a culture because it is difficult and inconvenient to meet and discuss business when it is a 3-board office, because it is the only 3-board office in the county. But I didn't make this rule. I am bound to follow it. No commissioner should be violating the Open Meetings Act process, and in keeping with the law on that, we need to abide by it, even though it's convenient. And I know, Larry, you have said, I'm refusing to, meet with you. This is about Open Meetings Act violations right now. So I've heard from many people at the Board of Review that this would be inconvenient to implement this policy, but this isn't about convenience. This is about following the law. So we're all bound by this law. And with regard to this specific motion to change the Board of Review ethics policy, this was never brought to my attention before the agenda for today was sent to me a few days ago. So this was discussed again.
have you finished
Without my involvement. If this was brought to my attention, I would have made it abundantly clear that we needed to obtain outside counsel to review these changes before it went to vote. So I vote no on this motion.
Point of clarification, you in your comments seem to have highlighted the importance of following the law, for one, and it is the opinion and recommendation of our ethics officer, Jonathan Chapman, that this amendment places us in conformance with the Cook County Board's ethics policy and definition of familial relationships specifically. Do you agree that we have to conform with the Cook County Board's ethics policy and their definitions therein?
I believe, like I said, that we need an attorney to advise us on this. There's other things in the ethics policy that I would suggest needed to be changed as well, but I was never asked. So I can't agree on something that has not been reviewed by an attorney.
Commissioner Caponargi is an attorney. I'm an attorney. You are an attorney.
Are you attorneys specializing in ethics?
Let me finish my question if I could. My question is, do you agree with Commissioner Caponargi's motion that we need to be in conformance and in compliance and consistent with the Cook County Board's ethics policy, and specifically as it relates to their definition of familial relationship?
I just answered that question, Larry.
I'm sorry, I missed the answer. Can you tell me what your answer is?
The answer was we need an attorney to review it. I have other changes that I would propose to our ethics policy as well. And if this was brought to my attention, we could be discussing all of it today. Okay. So I'm not going to agree on anything right now. I mean, we can table this, but as it is, I'm voting no.
Is there any particular reason? Are you aware of any violation of this policy?
I don't know what you mean.
Are you aware of any violation of the familial relationship policy within the Cook County Board's ethics policy and or this amendment to the Cook County Board of Review ethics policy, should this be implemented?
I'm not going to vote on this. I've answered all these, and I've answered as much as I'm going to answer. I'm not on trial here, Larry.
I'm sorry. No, this is the discussion points, and you raised some issues I wanted to know. You're asking that it be tabled, and I'm asking, is there a reason why you want it to be tabled, or you're aware of some violation that would be in effect if this were passed?
I've already told you why I want it tabled. I want an attorney to review any changes that are going to be made to this policy. Okay.
And I just asked an additional question. Are you aware of a violation that would be occasioned by the passage of this amendment to the Cook County Board of Review ethics policy relating to familial relationship?
I would have to consult with an attorney before I answered that question.
And that means you'd have to consult with an attorney to know whether there was a familial relationship to an official as defined by this definition. Is that your statement, Commissioner?
Well, let me ask you, do you think there's any kind of a violation of a familial relationship?
I have some concerns with some of your hires, yes.
I have concerns with yours and Mike's as well.
Okay. Commissioner Caponargi, you wanted to be heard?
Sure. I think you're seeing why we need this ordinance change right now. It's disappointing that Commissioner Wendt won't publicly state that she believes in a culture of ethics. We're all bound by not only the Board of Review's policy, but the county board's countywide ethics policy. I commend Mr. Chapman for bringing us a way for us to make sure that our Cook County Board of Review ethics policy complies with the county's ethics policy at large. This is not the first time Commissioner Wendt has been informed of an allegation that she is violating currently for months Cook County's ethics policy, that she is in current and ongoing violation of Cook County's ethics policy. And for the record, I have put her on notice on her third week as commissioner that she is violating Cook County's ethics policy. As a former federal prosecutor, I take this very, very seriously. It's one of the reasons that Commissioner Rogers and I drafted the board's first ethics policy and appointed the board's first ethics officer. And I'm glad to see that the process is working. An allegation of misconduct, even by a commissioner, is serious and merits full investigation, and the process worked. It was investigated and it's being referred for further action. These are serious allegations.
Yeah, they're serious allegations.
And Commissioner Wendt, you don't get on the one hand to make a false allegation that the Open Meetings Act applies to the Board of Review because you believe in a culture of openness and ethics. And then when Commissioner Rogers directly asks you if you are aware of an ongoing violation by you of the ethics policy, you say, I'd like to talk to counsel. That
That's
doesn't
not
give
what
the
he
rest of
asked
us.
me. Are you asking if I'm violating the ethics policy? Absolutely not. Are you, Mike? Are you Commissioner
No.
Rogers?
So you're saying right now that you have not hired and are employing a chief of staff who's a first cousin?
I'm not answering your questions. Is Larry's cousin working for you, Mike?
No, he is not.
Oh, is he working for Larry?
Commissioner Rogers?
I mean, do you want to open this? Let's go. Let's talk about everybody that you both hired.
Is there any further discussion on the motion?
No further questions.
Okay. Call the question. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All
No.
opposed to the motion indicate.
No.
Let the record reflect the motion carries.
Commissioner Rogers, I'd like a roll call, please.
Commissioner
Kevin, you
Cavanagh.
voted? Aye.
Commissioner Rogers. Aye. Commissioner Went.
No.
Commissioner Rogers, you've gone on mute, unfortunately.
Moving on the agenda, is there any issue to discuss in executive session?
I move that we go to closed session to discuss possible litigation.
I'm in favor of discussing that in open session for transparency purposes.
Well, that wasn't on the agenda.
You want to go into closed session?
Point of question. Commissioner Went, you have read the rules of the Board of Review. You keep referring to the fact that we didn't come to you with the agenda. You do realize that the Board of Review has a regularly scheduled meeting pursuant to the Illinois Property Tax Code to close the operations of the Board of Review. If you had something you wanted to put on the agenda, that's your responsibility to put on the agendas, yours and no one else's. If you and your chief of staff are unable to do that, that is again your problem, not the rest of us. This is the most recent time that you said you weren't made aware of something. Your job is to do your job. My job is not to do your job.
Right. And you guys have made it abundantly clear that you don't want to assist me as a new commissioner in any area, but that you're spinning the issue here, Mike. The issue was that you brought this motion for an ethics change without informing me, without asking me if I had any changes. But clearly, you know, you and Commissioner Rogers have had discussions again without me.
Just for a point of clarification, I know I have, and I know Commissioner Cavanagh has reached out to you since your election and since your installation as a commissioner to work with you and explain the process with you, to explain the importance of the outreach program. We've offered our assistance in every way, shape, or form. And we advised you of the need to comply with both the county ethics policy as well as the Board of Review ethics policy. You were concerned about some of your hires when we raised that issue with you. We advised you against hires that would violate the policy, and you told us you were going to proceed specifically despite being informed of the same. So we also have assisted you in a variety of ways. We have meetings amongst the chiefs to make sure that everyone is communicating. Those meetings have continued amongst the chiefs, despite your indication in written form that you have no interest in talking to Commissioner Cavanagh. So I do disagree with your suggestion that we have not welcomed you. We have simply honored your insistence upon doing what you want to do with your staff, and we have had to respect your decision that you don't have to comply with the county or ethics ordinance. And we, as you know, don't have the authority to dictate to you who you hire and don't hire. All we can do is pass good policy transparent policy, and things that we think are in the best interest of the agency and Cook County taxpayers. So again, my door remains open if you ever want to participate meaningfully in the administration of the office, but we cannot sit by and watch you trample on what we've worked very hard to achieve at the agency, and you have left us no choice but to pass ordinances like this that you disagree with, because they are in the interest of good government, they are consistent with county policy, and they are, quite frankly, what we've been elected to do. So this is not, let me finish, and I'm just about done. Please take no. If you look at my history, I have probably hired and elevated more people of color and women than any other commissioner elected to this office. We had the first female African-American secretary of this agency under my leadership. I have a female chief of staff who is also a minority woman. I supported the elevation of the first African-American man and minority to ever serve as the chief deputy commissioner of this agency. So I have consistently operated in an inclusive fashion, in a collaborative fashion. And since Commissioner Cabinargi has joined the agency, we have worked together in the same vein. Where we disagree, we discuss, and we decide what's in the best interest of the agency. And I'm sure Commissioner Cabinargi welcome you to participate in that type of a meaningful participation. We will have disagreements, but they need not be nuclear and as disruptive as the disagreements we have had with you have been, particularly as they relate to the conformance with Cook County ethics policies.
Yeah. Thank you, Commissioner, but I don't understand why you two are sitting here trying to pretend to the public like you are welcoming me with open arms. You have been nothing but bullies, to be frank, since I got here. I don't know if it's because I'm a female. I don't know what the problem is, but you're both very territorial, and this is not a secret. Okay, you made your statement, Larry. I'm coming in here and disrupting the work that you've done. I understand you don't want me here, okay? I understand you don't like the things that I'm figuring out and discovering, and the Open Meetings Act violations that you keep just ignoring. I don't know why you guys continue to think that you can just make your own laws, violate existing laws while you're making your own laws. I mean, I understand you got friends in high places, guys, okay? But that does not give you the right to treat me the way you are. And don't get on here and pretend for a second that you're welcoming me, okay? Let's talk about the truth. I don't want to hear any more lies, okay?
Commissioner Cabinargi.
Thank you, Chairman Rogers. We're going back and we're talking about the day that Commissioner Went was sworn in till today. And I just want to echo what Commissioner Rogers said. The day that Commissioner Went was sworn in, which again, unfortunately, because of COVID, we had to do remotely. Commissioner Rogers and I were on the phone with Commissioner Went. And we spoke, if not daily, multiple times a week with Commissioner Went to help her get up to speed. Staffing, payroll matters, human resources matters. It's always a challenge having an election at the Board of Review in the middle of the assessment session, which is unfortunately how the calendars intertwine. The new commissioner comes in the middle of the tax assessment appeal session. And as they're doing their staffing and their hiring, it's at the time that the hearings are beginning to move ahead in full speed and the deadlines are moving quicker. So it's always a challenge, which is why Commissioner Rogers and I, having been at the board for a number of years, wanted to work with you, Commissioner Went, to help you get up to speed. Two things stopped that. We learned that there was an allegation that you were in violation of the county's ethics ordinance in regarding to your hiring. We brought it to your attention. As you said here, you weren't going to respond. You weren't going to confirm or deny the allegation. We needed you to conform with it. Whether you confirm or deny the allegation, we just need you to follow the ethics policy. And then the second reason that we quit talking was entirely your own. You decided and you interpreted the State's Open Meetings Act to apply to the Board of Review. That is a unique and impression. It is currently being reviewed by legal officers. For anybody who's watching, we are a 3-person board. And if you read the State's Open Meetings Act, it is not anticipated for a 3-person board. Even for a 5-person board, there are exemptions reflecting the fact how difficult it is to operate with a 5-person board. So state officials are currently reviewing the application of the Open Meetings Act to a board of review, not the Cook County Board of Review, all 102 3-person boards of review in the state, because each county has a 3-person board of review. So an interpretation of the Open Meetings Act for Cook County applies to every county's board of review. So the reason we quit talking was, as Commissioner Rogers has said, you said that the Open Meetings Act, your interpretation was that you could not and would not meet with us and talk with us. The conversation we're having right here, I'm happy to have with you, Commissioner Wendt. I just think it's best that we have it behind closed doors. Even if the 3 of us don't get along, even if the 3 of us disagree on everything from values to staffing to personnel matters, okay, it is far more important that our staffs continue to talk. And I couldn't be more proud of my Chief of Staff, Roland Lara, by the way, the first Latino Chief of Staff at the Board of Review. And I just want to echo Commissioner Rogers. I couldn't be more proud of my staff, which is currently 50% women, 50% men, reflects the diversity of Cook County. The majority of my staff is Spanish speaking. That the staffs continue to work together. And hats off to Chief Deputy William O'Shields and Clerk Alan Manuel for, again, in a COVID environment when they're working remotely, still communicating, collaborating, and getting the job done. Because while the 3 commissioners may disagree with each other, it is far more important that the staffs continue to work together. And I'm proud of our staffs for continuing to work together.
Okay, well, thank you for that, Commissioner. My staff has, as you all know, worked extremely well with your staff as well. As a matter of fact, my staff finished first. We have less staff than all of you, which you guys are well aware of. I'm short many positions that there is a real problem with equity in this office, and I inherited it from Dan Patlick, who couldn't get agreement with either of you on staff positions. But being short-staffed in that I am, and that you both have open positions, my staff, half of them being new, still finished first. So I am extremely proud of my staff. All of my staff were hired for their qualifications, every one of them. So and I'm not in violation of any policies. Okay, so stop saying that. And I didn't ask anybody's opinion when I hired anybody. As a matter of fact, Mike, I remember a conversation we had where you told me you can hire anybody you want. We're an independent office. Nobody can tell us who to hire. So.
Just for the record, that just Commissioner Rogers, Chairman Rogers, I'm sorry, I did not say that. That is a complete, those are not the words I use, and I would not say we can hire anybody we want. No.
You said that. I remember where I was when I was on the phone with you.
Let me just
Commissioner Wendt.
Let's take a point of order.
Commissioner Wendt, I did not say that, and I would not say that.
Okay.
We are.
Point of order. Is there any request for executive session?
I wanted to go into executive session to discuss potential litigation. You've decided you don't want to go into executive session, apparently.
Is there a second? Is there a second regarding the request to go into executive session? I'm not aware of any litigation, so I don't know what to address with that. So I will.
Well, that's what we were going to discuss, Larry. But if you guys don't want to go into it, that's fine.
Okay. Moving on the agenda. Any public comments? If there's anyone in the public that'd like to make a comment, please raise your hand electronically or unmute yourself and make yourself be known. Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion to adjourn?
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Obstruct, any discussion?
No.
Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor of adjourning the meeting, vote by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Let the record reflect that the motion carries and we will be adjourned at this point in time. Thank you all for your hard work, and especially thanks to the staff.
Thank you.